Hi, I'm Sarah Mock. I'm a freelance agriculture and rural issues writer and researcher, and the author of Farm and Other F Words, a book about the rise and fall of small family farms. I was asked to talk a little bit today about what I see as the future of family farms. I'm going to focus largely today on the US, which is my area of expertise, but hopefully also provide a little bit of context about what might be going on in the UK and elsewhere and what the future might look like. So I've been working in and around the agriculture space for the last 15 or so years, and a lot of my research and reporting has focused on the business model of the small family farm. It's been a particular interest for me because I grew up kind of on the conventional side of agriculture, seeing, farmers, row crop farmers in the Midwest, specialty crop growers in California, and other growers across the US and around the world reckon with this model. Well, at the same time, I also have seen a tremendous amount of new and beginning farmers get into agriculture, start farm businesses, and try and make that work. And, universally, I have seen those people be a lot less successful at it and not figure out how to make the kind of small scale, climate focused, community focused, selling at the local farmers market type of farm business operation work, frankly. So all of that got me thinking about whether or not the small family farm model actually works in terms of a business, and what about it might be falling short, and how we might make that model more successful moving forward, or whether it even is a model that makes sense to think about moving forward. And fascinatingly, I think there's a lot of evidence out there that suggests that there's might be something better. Looking back especially into the US agricultural history, I found a lot of examples of farming in the commons, especially among indigenous people over the last 400 years or so. Innovative management styles, community farming practices in, all kinds of different marginalized communities, from formerly enslaved people in the American Southeast to Asian Americans and Asian people who arrived as immigrants in California, who were dispossessed and were not able to purchase agricultural land as agricultural laborers, and how they, dealt with those problems through collaborative farming, through community ownership, through innovative management styles that involved pooling resources, working their farms more like businesses, more like corporations, where there's boards of people who come together and negotiate and, make decisions together largely for bigger pieces of land than, we usually think about when we think about family farms in America, and who do it with an eye not to perpetuating intergenerational wealth, but with an eye to feeding communities, with an eye to, ensuring the community's longevity over an extended period of time, which involves protecting the environment that is being farmed in. And then, of course, in not making life miserable for the people doing the farming. Because those are the people who are around that table in a lot of these alternative situations, who are making those decisions. So quickly, what can we do about it? I think there's a couple of key things to do. One, completely rethink the role of inheritance in farming and how important it is, and refocus on farming as a business. Refocus on, the idea that you have to be producing profit. You have to be focusing on customers and market opportunities and what is out there in terms of getting to market. Farms are food brands, they're food companies. And the idea that farmers are primarily focused on holding land and creating commodities because they don't want to be involved in the marketing, they don't want to be distracted by managing a bunch of employees, that's not how businesses work. Being a manager is important. If you don't want to be a manager because you want to do the technical work of farming, bring someone into your business who can be a good manager. If you don't want to be the marketer or the salesperson because you want to be the technical person out in the field doing the farming, bring someone in to do that. Share equity, share ownership. Create a diverse business that is not about, whether or not your children are going to be able to do the exact job that you do in the future, but focus on building a business that creates value, that serves its customers. Completely rethinking the way that we think about farm labor is a big part of this. Other industries have realized, though I will grant, often do not act on it, that labor is a business's most important asset. If you have highly successful, motivated, dedicated, bought-in employees, they work differently. They work better. They work harder. They act entrepreneurially in operations. There is no reason a farm can't act on those incentives, can't create those incentives for their workers, and create opportunity for their workers to participate, to help build the business and to take ownership in it. Morningstar Tomato is an organization that I have done a lot of research on, has a completely horizontal internal structure. Though it is individually owned by one gentleman who started the company, this, an organization with 2,400 employees has no managers. A kind of self-management, employee management structure has created, a totally different vision of how workers in an agricultural business, a business that includes farm workers, and a vastly fluctuating labor force, how those people have figured out how to, operate collectively, how to make decisions together, how to hold each other accountable, and how that has completely transformed the cost structure of, making a commodity product, tomato paste, in the US market, and has allowed the company to make billions of dollars. And then, I think kind of sticking with that theme of entrepreneurial thinking, top line thinking, ag is plagued by bottom line thinking, by the idea that all farmers are always uniform price takers, that they can't really do anything to, affect the price that they get for their products. So they have to focus on efficiency and reducing costs and bringing down that bottom line. That's where their margin lives. Again, it's possible to make money growing food. Companies do it and have done it for a long time. It's possible to create brands, to create successful businesses. It's not done by doing what everyone else does. It's done by figuring out what you do that other people can't do, by finding a unique value proposition, by finding a unique opportunity and filling it. Entrepreneurship is hard. Management is hard. It takes skills. It takes unique skills. It could take a lot of different unique skills. And that's why teams are such an important part of this, and valuing employees, valuing diverse input is going to be so important moving forward. So, I think, especially as we think about scale when it comes to small family farms, I think inevitably families, tend to be small and getting smaller all the time in the US, in the UK, and in a lot of places around the world. That inherently limits the scale that you can operate on. But we know, because of the way the world looks right now, that scale is important to the economics of agriculture. Why do we value small? Why are we focusing on only employing or only, ownership being concentrated in the hands of people who share a last name? That's not important. It's not as important as growing good food, as being a good place to work, or as, limiting environmental impact. And that's what we have to, I think the biggest thing in terms of takeaways or moving forward from this conversation, I hope, is, to just think about, not all businesses are good. And farms are businesses. Farms are not good because they're farms. Farms are good when they do things that we want them to do. And what we expect a farm to do is provide good jobs, good food, and good environmental outcomes. And if family farms do that, great. If big team farms do that, great. If any other kind of farm in between, with creative ownership models, with creative management structures, with creative business models, there's going to be a million different opportunities, a million different models that work specific to geography and crop and opportunity in the world. And that is what we should be thinking about. Not about, it has to be in the family, it has to be a certain size, it has to look like this for it to be right. Because if we figured out one thing over the last several decades, maybe centuries, it's that the family farm model doesn't work just because it's supposed to, or just because it's nice, or just because we really like it and we want it to work. We've tried to make it work. We give farmers in the United States $20 billion a year in direct and indirect subsidies to this day, and have given much more over the last several years. And that did not fundamentally transform the economics of small family farming. If that is not enough, I think we really need to rethink this model altogether. And the exciting thing is, if we do, I think there's tremendously more opportunity for more people to get involved, for there to be more diversity in ownership and control of land, for just more people to participate in these conversations about what we use land for and how we use it. And to me, that's tremendously exciting. So I want to thank you so much for inviting me and having me speak here. I hope to bump into many more of you and get a chance to unpack these conversations and, debate. And you can tell me how I'm wrong. I love that. So go ahead and reach out to me at any of these contact ways. And thanks again.